Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Jaime Munguia has released a statement, probably not written by himself, probably written by advisors or lawyers or someone. He posted it on Instagram, and it contains the usual stuff that you would expect from any fighter who's been tested positive for PEDs. It says, "Throughout my boxing career, I've undergone numerous anti-doping tests and have never tested positive. I was tested twice during this training camp, meaning the rematch with Bruno Saras, where he won on points, and both results came back negative, which is why receiving this notification of an adverse finding has been a complete surprise to me." Of course. "Several experts have explained that there are multiple ways contamination can occur, and I am fully willing to undergo any retroactive current or future testing to demonstrate that I have always been a clean athlete. I will not make any further comments on this matter until the process is concluded with results of the B sample." Well, the B sample will be the same as the A sample because they're taken from the same sample, the same urine sample. And as someone who, I worked in drug and alcohol agency for many years, and there are different tests that go into that are more comprehensive. So, for example, a basic urine sample, which this wouldn't be, the ones I used to do would test for things like crack, heroin, fets, and all that sort of stuff. If we wanted anything more comprehensive, we do a swab test. So I'm going to assume that VADA, considering the amount that they charge for one test, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. These are surely comprehensive things that go into the minutiae of every single possible, PED, whether it's testosterone or something, some sort of masking agent or whatever, that they go into it totally comprehensively. Okay, so it will be a surprise if the B sample is any different to the A sample. I can't even remember an occasion when the B sample came back different. So the hook on which Munguia and his team will hang this is on contamination, and they've already they're seeing how the land lies for that one because they mentioned it in their little communique. So what happens if the B sample comes back positive, which it almost certainly will? Well, there has been Bruno Saras has said, look, he's made his own statement. He said, I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He said, look, I gave him a rematch. I knocked him out in 6 rounds in the first fight. I gave him a rematch. I didn't have to do that. But, I did so. Obviously got paid for it, considerably, I would imagine. I've never failed a test. He obviously thought he being Munguia, thought that he couldn't beat me legitimately. So he's obviously tried to cheat. That seems to be Saras's view, and then he concludes by saying this should be a no contest. Now, I agree with that. I agree. As soon as you failed a test, that fight should become a no contest. Shouldn't even be a debate. Okay. Now, if you can prove, and you have to comprehensively prove that something is contaminated, then okay, you can reverse that decision regarding the fight and say, okay, it was a win for fighter X who tested positive because the positive test was erroneous. That I get, but at the moment, as things stand, the emphasis now, having failed the test, is on Munguia and his team to prove that there's contamination, to prove it, not to state it, not to muddy the water so there's a sort of grey area. No, to prove it. If you're being prosecuted in a court of law, the prosecution will present the evidence. The evidence in this case would be an A and B sample that are positive. The defence then has to put forward a convincing argument as to why that's incorrect, and to, including the title, to defend their client, with evidence, How are you going to do that? It's going to be very, very difficult. But Munguia can be secure in the knowledge that the WBC is very, very feeble when it comes to people who test positive for banned substances. What I can see happening, and this is only me sort of whistling Dixie, chewing the fat. I think probably what will happen is Munguia might get a 6-month ban, years tops. Probably they won't change the result of the contest, and he'll essentially get away with it. You know, we should not be overlooked that Munguia is Mexican, and the WBC frequently favours Mexican fighters. And of course, we look back to Canelo and the complete non-punishment that he received for his failed test. It's also been stated by many people, I stated it in my previous video on this, that Munguia is an Eddie Reynoso fighter and their fighters something's going on in that gym, and someone needs to do some serious study of that gym from what's going on there. And are they the only ones? No, of course not. We know that drugs are rife in boxing, in sports. But the fact that VADA are catching people, high-profile fighters, is good. It's then up to the ruling bodies, to the sanctioning bodies, to the various commissions throughout the world to have an iron-fisted attitude towards people that fail PED tests, and to dish out serious punishments. I'm not someone who says someone should be banned for life for a first offence. Someone like Jarrell Miller should have been kicked out of the sport a long time ago, because the guy's a junkie. I mean, he's compelled to take PEDs. He's no interest in abiding by any kind of rules. Someone like Conor Benn, okay, he should have been punished, but banning for life, no, I completely disagree with this. I'm not a zero tolerance guy. I think you should take every single case on its own merits, or demerits perhaps. But Munguia, I think he'll get away with it. But Reynoso's gym, Jesus Christ. Yeah. I would be absolutely stunned if Canelo himself hasn't been doing something or other consistently since being busted, because they know they can essentially get away with it. And people had a go at Devin Haney, because they don't like Devin Haney, they don't like Bill Haney. When Garcia tested positive, but I was very much on Haney's side regarding that matter. You know, Garcia cheated, failed test, cheated. Yeah, that fight should be a no contest. And Garcia should have been punished far more than he was. Instead, he got a massive check for his rather pathetic performance against Rolly Romero. It's not a foregone conclusion that this will always exist in boxing, but it is a foregone conclusion that it will continue to exist if the people with the power, the people with the purse strings, don't take a strong, harsh line on anyone that fails. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about punishing the fighters. I'm talking about punishing the gyms. I'm talking about punishing the team, you know, the managers, the trainer. You go to any boxing gym, they know what's going on there. You know who's taking what. It's sort of an open secret. Taboo subject, but it's an open secret. So no, I'm very much in favour of coming down hard on drug cheats. But what do you think? Comments below as usual, please. Subscribe to the channel if you know, and hit the like button if you like the video. And if you didn't like the video, hit the like button anyway, because you're full of love. A bit like the WBC for their cheating fighters. Anyway, thanks very much for your time as always. Appreciate the support, and bye for now.